All right, welcome back. We're going to talk about the Usopp deck list that is guaranteed to get you X and 1 in any local tournament. That is right. I have come very close to winning with this deck. I think it has what it takes. I am just learning to be a better pilot and really get every bang for my buck out of this black-blue Usopp deck. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with what may be my favorite deck since Shanks. That's right, I'm a big Shanks player. We're starting off with 4 Kurita Coliseums, absolutely necessary. You gotta have 4 of them. There's no real other alternative. You want to use that stage consistently. At the same time, if you have a ton, that's okay in hand early on. You get so much milling and so much draw. You can use a Cavendish. You know, it's going to go into your discard pile. It's not going to stay in your hand as a brick for very long. Next on my list, I do have 4 Leos, which is the Superior Searcher. Yes, you have to rest the leader or a stage, but being able to pick up 2 cards and then boom, discard 1 already, that's a good way to get a second Kurita Coliseum out of your hand. I actually like playing this off of a Frankie KO sometimes. Endgame, just being able to survive and maybe pull out, oh, I get a 2K or 2Ks. Getting some extra counter in hand really helps when your opponent's going for life. I do put 2 Rebecca Searchers in there as well, mostly to increase my chance of getting a Searcher early on, and then at the same time being able to search for that Kurita Coliseum. It feels like you are playing 2 different games with Usopp if you do or do not see your event card in the first 2 or 3 turns. After that, we are playing 4 copies of One-Legged Toy Soldier as our first 2K of the deck list. It also acts as one of our primary reduction for any KOs that we're going to do. Usopp is not a primary KO deck in this current deck list that I run, but I do like running a little bit of reduction for the occasional Zoro. At the same time, this is a good 2K cost to be able to pull back in. The blocker that holds this entire deck together, we are playing 4 Ideos. I think, you know, if you aren't able to go first and you go second, playing an Ideo right off the bat, and, you know, you still have 5 cards, they're going to swing on their second turn, their 3-Dawn turn. You're going to block, not have to take a life or give up any counter, and leader ability, draw a card. Really does help get your engine going, even if you're not going to be able to play a Searcher early on. We also are playing 3 copies of the Bart blocker, 4 copies. I think it's a great 2K, great backup blocker. At the same time, I always like maybe for a Leo or even a Rebecca, if I'm able to trash some of this early on and bring back an Adeo or a Bart blocker on my opponent's last swing to be able to already have a blocker in place for the last turn. That's pretty good. I really just love it. But I think the underrated card of this deck is definitely the 4-cost Sabo. I run 3 copies of it. Yes, it is a 2K, which has its own value, but being able to protect your base cost of 7 or less, which is essentially almost everything we are running in this deck. This is, you know, if someone tries to KO anything else while this is on the field, 7 cost or less, you can just return this to your hand as well. So it is basically your own little Tashigi for blue. That helps so much for anything, you know, against Shanks, against Bonnie, against other black decks. Even though this does have an advantage against other black decks, you're just getting so much value out of just having this on the board. So play 7-cost Rebecca, you play a 7-drop whatever you want, and then just throw this sucker rested off to the side. They're going to have to remove this, especially with the Shanks matchup, if they're going to want to play their removal-based deck. We have to play 4 of these beautiful Frankies. This is also a fantastic blocker. Not a bad 1K, but at the same time on KO, you get to pull a cost of 3 or less from your discard rested. That really ties in a lot of what you're doing with this Usopp engine. So pulling off a blocker, pulling off a Searcher, you want to look for something specific. It's a great card, and at the same time, I like attacking and playing a little aggressively with this Frankie. because they're not really going to want to KO it. Kind of the same idea with Lucky Rouge and Shanks. I play 3 copies of Cavendish. I've seen 4, I've seen 2, I've seen none. I think this really does save a lot of your matchups where you're not seeing what you need to see. It's going to, draw 2, discard 1. You're going to get rid of some bricks and mill and look for something that can help you in your mid to late game. But at the same time, it is a little bit bricky. Some games you don't even need it, and it usually ends up becoming the first thing that I will mill out of my hand. I also like playing 3 copies of the 4-cost Zoro. I like having the removal, being able, if you have a Create a Coliseum down and you play a Zoro, pop something, and then be able to swing into another rested character, that is a ton of insane value off of the 4-cost. But then again, you have to have it set up the right way. The worst feeling in the world is really wanting to pop something and having to use rest on your leader instead, but not the end of the world. We have to play, that is right, 4 copies of the Rebecca, our fake, not fake Gecko Moira. This card is built specifically for this deck. It is fantastic, and if you can play 2 of these back to back on curve, your board can go from 1 card to 4 or 5 cards really, really fast. It is definitely your end gamer that needs to stay in. I only counter out with it when absolutely necessary. And off that Rebecca, you're usually going to play probably one of these 7-cost Kiroses, return 1 character with a cost of 5 or less to the owner's hand. You can play it aggressively and, pop something or bounce something on your opponent's side. But at the same time, I don't dislike using that to return a Leo or Rebecca to hand. I actually know of one specific game that I won where I bounced, I played Rebecca into Kyros into a rested Adeo, bounced the Adeo back into hand, and then ended up playing it. That doesn't really make any sense. That didn't work out that way. It was actually already rested off to the side. But being able to play the Kyros, bounce the Adeo, and then play it again, almost re-standing a blocker, really did help win me that matchup. I do like playing the OP04 Luffy. I play 2 copies of it. It is really amazing to synergize with Create a Coliseum to be able to attack active characters. You can also re-stand it at the cost of 7 discard cards back into your deck. So being able to play this, even into a Zoro, you drop this and you swing for 2 active characters. Oh, there's a blocker, maybe a chopper, whatever that would be. This really does help a lot of matchups, but at the same time, it is not absolutely necessary in this deck. I think it's a little bit more situational. Sometimes I do cycle it out, but you do always want to try to keep 1 copy just in case you're running low. Usopp does mill a lot, so the last thing you want is to play up against, let's say, an Enel, and you're going to run out of cards, and they're just going to stall you. My quote-unquote spicy pick and tech choice for this deck is my 2 Stussies. I love this card in this deck. It is insane. So initially, I put it in for the Shanks matchup, and then I noticed, well, it works really well for the Bonnie. It looks pretty good for Katakuri, anything that's going to play, 9 cost, 10 cost, whatever that may be. And the thing is, you trash 1 character from your field, but we play so many small characters. Leo and Rebecca, usually almost any game, you're going to have a Leo and Rebecca just chilling off in the corner. So I try to keep them on the board. Don't worry about them, maybe for a Kong gun. But really, that Stussy can slow down a lot of speed. Even if you're playing a Shanks, it's their 8 Dawn cost. They play a Rayleigh, your 9 Dawn cost. You play the Stussy, pop the Rayleigh. That's already establishing a big body on your board and slowing down that Shanks' top end. This card is great. I don't recommend running more than 2 though, because again, it is a brick. Sometimes you don't want it. Sometimes it's not really great for a matchup. I'm not going to use it against Bello. I'm not going to use it against Dothie, but that is kind of the perk of Usopp, is you don't have to use all these cards. You can kind of just mill every turn until you find the pieces that you need. And then finally, for my 2 events, I do run 2 copies of Red Rock. With Stussy and Red Rock, we see a pretty good amount of removal. The only reason I don't run 4 red rocks is I do kind of also prefer the Stussie's ability to establish a big body on the board. That puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. And then finally, I play 1 copy of the Gum Gum King Kong gun. I think this card is amazing. I've seen people play 2, 3, 4 copies. I don't blame them. This is insane. You basically double the Dawn value for an attack, and if the situation's right and you have 15 or more cards in trash, you get double attack. So I have seen people have a couple small bodies on the board, 2 of these in hand, pop 2, go double attack, double attack. Okay, they have to block 1, maybe can't block the second one, and then all of a sudden you're taking 2 or 3 life in one single hand. It really can turn around a lot of different games for you. But without further ado, that is my Usopp list. I feel pretty good about this list. I definitely think there's room for tech choices. Usopp has quite a bit of flexibility with the Cavendishes, Stussy, even this Luffy. Some people play the new OP10 Luffy. The events, I've seen a lot of flexibility, and the Rhino Schneider is also a great card. You make it what you want to do. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you agree with, what you think I should change, and best of luck to those Usopp players out there. Let's see if we can't top a regionals. See you next time.